Hello everyone, and welcome back to another lore video. So this episode we're covering the goddess Lolth, her pantheon, her lore, and fun ways you can bring her into your campaign. So jumping into Lolth's story, long ago she was actually known by another name, Arachne. During that time she was part of the elven pantheon known as the Seldarin, which was led by the god Corellon Lotharion. This pantheon was filled with all kinds of beings, domains, and portfolios that all held sway over the lives of elves, and Arachne in particular held sway over all of the Drow, aka the Dark Elves. Now Arachne had everything. She had a massive portfolio, and as we've mentioned in lore videos about other gods, a god having domain over an entire race or an entire subject of living matter means that the god's power is enormous. Simply by her subjects existing, she would thrive. She was actually married to Corellon as well, and had 3 children with him, Vandria, Veyron, and Elistrae. She was powerful, loved, and prosperous, but despite this, it was never enough for her. She wanted more. And at this time too, the gods were often at war with one another, and domains were being absorbed and lost by other gods, and Arachne sought to use this chaos to kill her husband Corellon, and then take his portfolio and domain for herself. She wanted his power. She created plots to kill and overthrow Corellon, take his portfolio, and have domain over the entire elven pantheon. Luckily though, for Corellon, Arachne's attempts were very unsuccessful. She was discovered and then brought on trial by the Seldarin and was sentenced to banishment. Now enraged at her failed murder attempt, she gave one more last-ditch effort to slay her husband. She transformed herself into a massive spider, but she was just outmatched by Corellon. But despite all this, despite all the murder plots and betrayals, Corellon loved his wife, and he couldn't find it in his heart to harm her. He fought her back, and she fled. After she was exiled, she took the name of Lolth, and slowly but surely gained more and more power by either slaying or subjugating other beings and creatures, or just taking over vast territories for herself, such as the 66th layer of the Abyss, the Demon Web Pits, which she now calls home. And all this time though, her hatred for Corellon only grew. She still wanted his power, and even more to carry out revenge against him. But the last time she tried, that didn't really work out so well for her. She knew she couldn't kill him or usurp him in the way that she had tried to in the past, so her new plan was just to make him suffer. Her plan was to be worshipped and then torment her followers for all eternity. All the pain of all of the elves and Drow that worshipped her, Corellon would feel that pain as well, and for Lolth, that would be enough. Even though Lolth had sway over all of the Drow, Corellon had sway over all elves. So he felt all of their pain, all of their anguish, and now Lolth spends her time scheming, pitting the very depths of the underdark and all of its Drow against each other, so that Corellon feels every scream, every strike, and every ounce of misery from their followers. And now, in regards to followers, a majority of Lolth's followers are creatures that live in the underdark, but her influence even extends to cults on the surface as well. In the communities where Lolth has power, her priestesses would force others into extreme subservience of their goddess, and they would often sacrifice treasures and other living creatures in the hopes that Lolth would bring them glory. However, while many of her followers tried to please Lolth and gain her favor, many found themselves failing to meet up to her impossibly high expectations. For these Drow, Lolth often turns them into monsters as punishment. The most common example of these being the Dryadr. Dryadrs are these sort of half-drow, half-spider creatures, where their lower legs and abdomen are formed into this giant spider. And these Drow typically live out the rest of their days in shame and banishment for their failure to properly serve their goddess. And all who gaze upon the Dryadr see the cruel fate of those who don't live up to Lolth's expectations. And speaking about spiders and Drow and suffering, an important distinction too when it comes to Lolth and all of her quirks. Not only is she all about spiders, Drow, and making others horribly suffer, but she is also heavily into trickery and war, as you probably would have guessed. And notable enough, these are common domains for her if any of you out there are interested in playing as some evil or possibly misled clerics. But despite how powerful and notable Lolth is, there are many in the Underdark that seek to usurp her, and a majority of her competition is from gods from her own pantheon, the Dark Seldarin. Lolth does not share her power with others, and as a result, these other gods and beings will often bicker and fight amongst one another and try to seize power from one another in any way that they can. Some of these deities even come off as powerful threats to Lolth, whereas others are seen as merely annoyances. And if you're trying to theme an entire campaign around Lolth, taking into account these other deities could be worthwhile. One particularly notable deity is Elistrae. This chaotic good drow goddess of beauty, song, dance, freedom, moonlight, swords work, and hunting, she decided to willingly be banished at the same time as Lolth because she knew that the drow would need a guiding light in her lives. She encourages the drow to follow pursuits of passion, love, and bliss instead of slaving away under the misery of her mother's rule. Another notable deity that constantly tries to seize Lolth's power is Veyron, the god drow of thieves, trickery, and underhanded tactics for drow to achieve their goals. And while Veyron, like Illustria, was also a child of Lolth, this didn't stop him from wanting to take his mother's power for himself, and he would often do this by attempting to unite the other gods of the Dark Seldarin together against Lolth. And of course, while there are gods and beings hoping to destroy Lolth, there are so many people that just want to escape. Many drow want to make an arduous journey through the Underdark to escape, but are often met with difficulty either in the form of Lolth's followers or other horrors that lie deep within the Underdark itself. When it comes to the Underdark, one of the massive reasons why this place is such a menace is because of the atmosphere in the society that Lolth has created amongst the drow and many of the creatures living there. And that's all I have to say about Lolth for this video. I hope you enjoyed this lore video of this very tricksy, evil, malicious, spider-loving goddess. If you enjoyed the video, then please like and subscribe for even more D&D content and lore. And in the meantime, keep smiling, keep scheming, and I'll see all of you next time.